Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be working on two-way stretches in the Pilates system. Let's get ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for the first thing I'd like you to do is finding a comfortable standing position where your feet feel like, not too wide, not too narrow. And I'd like you to rock a little bit towards the front of your feet and a little bit towards the back. So when you're moving towards the front, maybe you're going to be becoming more aware of experiment. Which muscles sort of jump into play? And when you move towards the back of your heels, which muscles are keeping you in balance? And then I'd like you to find a middle point. So you find that just sort of, we think about it like a triangle in the feet, that the mound of the big toe and the little toe and the heels, we are equally dividing our weight in the center of our feet. Now I'd like you to rock your weight a little bit from the right side to the left side. A little bit right, a little bit left. Because almost all of us have a preference to stand a little bit more on one leg. See how that feels. And then I'd like you to find your middle point where you feel balance between right side and left side. And of course, front and back. So now that you're aware of your feet, I'd like you to imagine that your head, your skull, can reach up a little bit more towards the sky. We don't need to lift the heels here. It's just feeling those opposite pulls. As we're maintaining this beautiful posture, try raising your arms up to the sky. And then lowering your arms back down. Now remember, everything that I do everything that I'm saying is just a suggestion. You can go ahead and experiment with it or not. Because there's nothing wrong with just standing and raising your arms. But if we're experiencing that two-way pull, the feet sort of rooting down, top of the head floating up to the sky, and as the arms reach up, there's energy up through the fingertips, but the shoulders are gently pulling down. So let's see if we could feel that. Arms raising and shoulders gently pulling down. Link it in with your breath pattern today, whatever works for you. We'll do one more before we go into our roll downs. Now I'd like you to just take a roll down like normal. Don't overthink it. Starting from the top of your head, roll down, see how that feels. And then coming back up. Do one more as we're just warming up, and then we'll give you our task. Good. So I'm going to come onto screen to show you a little bit what I mean by this two-way stretch now. Our goal is to go down, but our other goal is to go over something. So I'd like you to imagine that I'm standing in front of you. Here, I'm going to go in front of him. And it's like my arm is right there. The top of the head is going down, but the belly muscles, everything is pulling up at the same time. So he's trying to go front at the same time pulling up in the center of his body. And then roll back up to standing. So you can imagine that I'm there, giving you a nice little hug right there. Try it out a few times and see if that changes anything for you. And see if you could go all the way down as deep as you were going before, but still feeling that light lift in the center. All right, and one more time. Then we're going to add another little aspect of this. Now, most people, when we're going to do a roll down, what's comfortable is that we shift our weight a little bit more into the heels because we're making room for our body to fold front. What I'm going to challenge you to do right now is to shift a little bit more weight to the balls of the feet, a little bit more than that's comfortable, and do the same thing, keeping the weight into the balls of the feet and still rolling down, belly muscles lightly lifted as we go down and back up. And we might have an entirely different experience when we're doing this exercise. Right, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll do one more just for the experiment. Well done. Also, nice job, Chris. We're going to come down to, thank you very much. We're going to come down to the floor, and we're going to start right away with that lying down completely on your back. And the first thing you're going to do is stretch yourself long as if you just want to get an extra cuddle there with the puppy. I saw you. He's right there. So as if you are standing on the floor. So I'd like your feet to be stretched out, and maybe right now your arms up above your head, and see that two-way stretch right there. Good. Now raise your arms up towards the sky. And then we're taking the top of the head and rolling all the way up to standing or seated. You might want to grab onto your hands to your thighs if you need to.
Did you see how good that was?
That was pretty good. It's like you're a professional or something. And then find that roundness in the center. And then moving all the way back down. So there's a lot of two-way stretches that we could experience right here. And let's go through them. So even though the arms are stretching up over the head, the shoulders are gently pulling down, right, melting down. Then we raise them up towards the sky. We pick the top of your head off. And as you're trying to reach front, we're hollowing on the inside of your belly. So pulling, like we have an ice cream scooper there. All the way to the spine stretch forward. And Chris, stay right there for the spine stretch forward. So our whole upper body wants to go front, but just like we were experimenting before, it's like I'm pulling his belly muscles inward to round the back. And that's an entirely different experience than just folding front. Chris, can you just show a stretch? So if you're just stretching, he's quite a flexible dude. So he could show quite a lot of flex there, forward flexion. But if the spine stretch forward, then this is really active. Belly muscles hollowing in. Gorgeous. And then he could roll back. So maybe try that a few times to see if you can find all of those tiny little elements that are in there. Great. I think it gets a lot more interesting. What do you think? Everyone at home? Yeah.
And the next step is we're hovering.
We hover right from the floor. That's right.
We levitate.
We're going to come all the way up to seated and just enjoy the stretch over the legs once we're there. So you can relax your arms and do that sort of the opposite of the spine stretch forward is really just to relax over there. It's almost like a hinge. And at this point, you can relax your arms. Let the weight of your head help the stretch. Shoulders soft. And then we're going to come back up to seated position. So if this seated, this L-sit that we're in right now, if that doesn't feel right for your hips, then go ahead and bend your knees right now. We're going to be working on a spine twist. So stretch your arms out towards the side. The first thing that we can find in this two-way stretch is that both arms want to have equal pulls. Good. Your second two-way stretch, your hips are anchored down to the floor and the top of your head is still reaching up towards the sky, finding that pull. Now we're going to make it dynamic by starting the twist any which way.
Do you want to go to the other side?
Doesn't matter.
I go this way
It doesn't matter. I'm going to move it. And as you're twisting, you're still trying to take in the landscape. So you're finding all of those little corners in your room as you twist. And then come back into the center. And then twist to the other side.
That's true, because sometimes we're moving our arms more than our upper body.
Absolutely.
So that means upper body starts and the arms are following, correct?
Exactly. Because we have that extra work for our arms, right? Equal opposite pulls right there. It eliminates the arm movement a bit, and then you can really concentrate on the torso, just like what Chris said. You find it a little bit more intense as well, no?
It's the muscles are working more.
I like that.
I wouldn't. It's somehow a mix of finding the mobility and using the muscles to go into that mobility.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should write a book. It's my new phrase. Muscles are finding your mobility.
Let's do.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense, but okay. One more time each side. But it does make sense in a different way.
No, wait a second. Let the muscles find your own mobility.
Huh. Okay, we'll let you ponder that before we go on to the next one.
I have to leave. I have to start writing this book right now.
First chapter.
First chapter and the last one.
So let us now bring your arms in front. And I'd like you to roll back down very slowly. See if you can find that you still want to be staying up seated, but the belly muscles are pulling in so much that it lowers your descent slowly. Good. And then maybe take a stretch for a second, and then we're going to go into some variations of our leg circles. So bring your arms right back by your side. Chris says no. He got an extra cuddle right there.
I have to move a little bit down.
So the arms are going to be down by you, and we're going to stretch maybe the right leg up towards the sky. If we don't have this L shape 90 degrees in your hip, then go ahead and bend the left leg, stand the left foot on the floor. That'll be a little bit more comfortable. You'll find it, whatever works. Okay. But if you have the bottom one long, then I'd like you to press it gently into the ground. If you're standing on the floor, the leg bent, then feel the sole of the foot there. We're going to start slow circles and see if you can find the entire roundness of the body of that leg circle. So what I mean is we have a tendency always to sort of chop off part of our circles. And I'd like you to see if you can explore. But at the same time, that freedom in the right hip, the left side is staying strong. Let's go the other way. Good. All right.
I still have 2 to go.
You still have 2 to go. Keep on circling around. Or get ready for the other side at home, as you wish.
I did 20 one direction, 20 the other one.
You did not. So as you explore now the other side, think about those two things. We have let's say the standing side is the side with the leg down onto the floor, and the other side, finding the roundness, the openness of the hip. And then maybe we want to circle the other way. So 2 things can be true in any one of these exercises. We're looking for both stability and mobility. And in Lancey's case, he's looking for cuddles.
He likes me.
He does. All right, everyone. When you are done, you're going to place your feet onto the floor, and we're going to start by doing a hip lift. So bridging. Maybe can you take your mat just a little bit to me?
Like this?
Yeah, that's great. So we're starting with bridging, and we're going to have our feet standing onto the floor. And before we go up, think about your feet just like we were doing in this standing sequence, where we're right in the middle of those feet. Right side, left side has equal distribution, front and back of the foot. Then we start with our tailbone and lift up bone for bone. Take a breath at the top and go down bone for bone. And I'd like you to explore that for a few times. Now, there could be a lot of things true in this at the same time. So why don't we lift your hips and find your top of your bridge, and let's just spend a moment right there. We want to find the lightness of the hips at the very top of it. Good. And at the same time, we're pulling your heels underneath you, so you feel those hamstrings working. So it almost feels like your whole body is moving towards the side, but still lightness with the hips. Right? That should be a little bit more exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so great. So let's now change it to go up and down like a board. Before we were articulating like a wave through the body, but now we go one board up and then bring your hips almost down to the floor before the next repetition. So the same thing, that your heels are gently pulling underneath you so that their hamstrings are activated. The hips are lifting, but we're trying to find some semblance of lightness in there. And two more. Excellent. Let's do one more and stay up there. We're trying to keep our hips on the same level, both up to down and side to side. So there's no movement right there. And we're going to go for a slow marching, lifting one leg up, maybe to tabletop if we could get it that high, or maybe it's just a couple centimeters. And then slowly bring it back down and then go to the other side. Now, what's really interesting to me in this exercise is not so much the lifting, but it's the transition from one to the other side, that stays, quotes, quiet, so that we are eliminating as much of that rock from right to left and up to down. Good. When we're doing it that way, I think we feel a little bit more activation at the back of the body. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe one or two more before we end this one. And when you're done, you're going to bring your hips down to the floor and maybe hug your knees in towards your chest. And then we'll roll ourselves up to a seated position. Chris will face our audience. And maybe the legs a little bit wider, so we're getting ready for some saw action. Now, if this seated position is not comfortable, then maybe sit up on a pillow or bend your knees like Chris is doing right now. Now, I think saw is one of the most exciting of all the exercises. We have lots of things going on. Let's just concentrate on the legs first. So relax your arms for now, Chris.
They are relaxed.
They are not relaxed. Relax your arms and concentrate on the legs. So the legs, if we're seated up here, press the heels away from you so that you start to engage your thighs just a little bit. So you feel more a lengthening away from you. Now, experiment with this idea of lengthening or just putting all of your energy in there. So just lock out your legs and see how that feels and relax. And then try to extend your heels away and see how that feels. It's a subtle difference, but hopefully with that pressing gently away, you feel a little bit more release in the hips. Is that true? Kind of. Yes. Good. Okay. Now, keep your energy in your legs and the sits bones anchored onto the floor, and reach your arms out towards the side. The same thing that we have in a spine twist. The arms are pulling in opposite directions so that we're stable here in the upper body. Let's just do a couple of spine twists right here. I'll move out of your way. So spine twist, and you're really twisting from the center of the body and then back to the middle, and then to the other side. We'll do 4 of these all together. Take your time. Bring your eyes along with you, because those are also muscles. It looks like I'm hiding behind you. Oh, funny. I'll go move out to the side.
You're hiding, I'm trying to look for you, and you're moving
Yeah, exactly.
you're
I just
moving
moved
away
from the side.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're going to get into the exciting part of the saw. So you're going to twist to one side. And you're going to continue to twist, and now the arms are allowed to move a little bit more with you, because we want to try to cross that arm over. Before he starts to go down, that two-way stretch of the belly muscles pulling inwards, and then he reaches towards the front. So the front arm is reaching towards that ankle or beyond, and the back arm is reaching long behind you with the same amount of intention. Then stack the spine bone for bone. Find your beautiful posture. Expand out towards the side. Good. And then we try it on the other side. There'll always be one side that feels a little bit nicer than the other. We find the twist with your whole torso, overcross your arm before you dive down, pulling your belly button towards your spine. I don't really love that cue, but in this case, it really helps to find that opposite pull. And I'd like you to continue on just a few times, seeing that exploration. So we got a lot of things going on. We have leg work right here. We have work through the entire spine, your belly muscles. I also find it quite nice, shoulder mobility, especially for that back arm as it rotates in and tries to pull, and the palm when that looks up towards the sky. That's really nice. Do we have attention for one more time each side?
I can do 10 like that.
Oh, well, we'll do one more time
At
each
least.
side.
Next week, we're only going to do saw exercise.
Actually, it's such a great whole body exercise. I'm
For
fine
1
with
hour.
it. No, don't worry. We're not doing that. Good. Relax. Do whatever you need to sort of shake it out. You could have a Swan Lake arm movement if that feels right. Or not. Okay. We are going to be working on some of our side lying stuff. Can we lie somewhere on one side? Support your head, however, is going to be comfortable for you. Chris always chooses the side with the puppy, so he gets an extra snuggle in there. All right, so we think that we're going to be lying here nice and easy, but we're not ever. Give the same amount of attention as a standing sequence so that your feet are lengthening away from you, so that automatically that engages the legs a little bit different. See if you can engage so much that the ankle bones are lightly touching. Great. Now let's bring our attention a little bit more up the body. The waist is working so that the bottom part of your waist is trying to lift from the floor, creating a little bit of a space, like a little ant tunnel right underneath you. Good. All of that is true. And then the shoulders and the neck and the jaw, they stay on vacation, very relaxed. Give all of that energy out through the legs and see if we can lift them from the floor. And then almost lower them to touch before the next lift comes up. see if we can give a little bit more energy through the bottom leg as that reaches out. Notice if you're experiencing the muscles of the inner thighs differently. Try it. Try it with the bottom leg being a little bit softer. Maybe bend it a tiny bit. And then try it completely lengthened and see which one engages more attention from your body. Great. Let's bring your bottom leg down to the floor, and the top leg will just hover from the floor. So maybe it's about parallel to the floor. We're going to slowly bring that leg, the top leg, towards the front of you. We're not going to kick it there. We're going to hold it there for one moment. The leg is parallel to the floor. Your spine has not moved. That stays neutral. And the low back is long and the hips stay even. Great. Now, lengthen your leg back, slightly engaging the core muscles as you reach the leg back, but you still want a little bit of intention that the hip is moving towards the front. Well done. Now you'll slowly go back and forth like your leg is a pendulum, moving front and lengthening back. Two things are also true in here. The attention to your waist, to your core muscles is important, so that's stability, and it's important to be looking for the full mobility of the front and the back. And so sometimes you need to go a little bit too far and then pull it back to see where is your sweet spot. We'll do one more time, front and back. Good, and a rest. Well done, everyone. Let's go to the other side. Find whatever transition is good for you. Good, so as you're lying right there, let's do the whole setup just like we had before, only for the attention. The setup is easy, lie on your side. The interesting part is the details. So, as if your feet are pressing away from you, standing onto that floor. That also means that the toes are spread out wide. Good. Feel the ankle bones lightly pressing in towards one another. Your waist is active, so we're traveling up the body, and the upper part of your body is soft. Give so much energy that the legs rise from the floor and then almost come back down before the next one. Right, so and continue on with that. See what happens if you were to imagine that I had tied some helium balloons to your ankles, and the balloons help you lift from the floor. So finding a little bit of lightness there. See if that changes your experience of lifting and lowering than just thinking about the bottom leg, for example. Good. Now, we're going into a slow side kick. So we're bringing our top leg up. The bottom leg stays anchored on the floor. It still has energy. We'll take the top leg and move it towards the front as far as you can, still having what we would call a neutral spine, which just means your pelvis isn't tucking or doing anything like that. Great. Then lengthen your leg back behind you and still lightly engaging in the belly muscles so that we're not arching the back. None of these things are dangerous. It's just about feeling different aspects of your exercise. So we're bringing it front and we're lengthening it back. So before we were saying two things are true here. We're working for stability and mobility at the same time. I'd like you to add onto this feeling is that your leg that's doing the pendulum front and back, I would like you to extend it further away from you, as if we can add another 10 centimeters or 10 inches onto your leg. Good. We'll do another 1 or 2 before we take a stretch. Good. And when you're done, you'll lie on your back and we'll take a stretch for your hips, taking one ankle on top of your thigh. The foot can either stay on the floor, or as you're pulling the thigh to you, your tailbone is trying to press down towards the ground. And then maybe we stretch on the other side. I think that was pretty fun.
That was a lot of fun.
I think it's interesting to break down those exercises.
To break people down or to break exercises down?
Well, there's always we think we know an exercise, but there's so many little details to explore that's why it never gets boring.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed exploring those couple of exercises. If you're looking for some more stuff from us, you're going to go right over here. We always appreciate a subscribe, which is going to be over here. If you'd like more of our free resources, you're going down there. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.